Hello, this is Tiffany Jackson at LA Trade Tech, and I'm going to be reviewing some basic pattern making skills with you. I am going to show you how to true or equalize a seam that doesn't match. I would like to just quickly review how to walk a pattern. I have here a basic block. Here is my front and here is my back. I put the notches in blue ink just so that you can see them. The correct way to do that would be to actually use a notcher. I'm going to go over some things before I show you how to equalize this seam. I have indicated my seam allowance by having this dotted line or this dash line. Once you have the seam allowance indicated on your pattern, you're going to use either a push pin or a pencil, and what we're going to do is we're going to walk the pattern along the stitch line. What are we looking for? We want to make sure that the notches are exactly on top of each other and that the notches walk, meaning when I move this notch ends up right on top of this notch. I have a dart here. There's a shoulder dart in the back. That means that I have to shift this as if the dart is closed, and I just want to make sure that this walks the rest of the way. So I'm walking the shoulder, and I'm not going to walk the armholes because they don't sew together. I'm going to walk the side seam. So again, I have a dart right here, and I'm going to be walking this seam to this seam. When you begin walking a seam, you're always going to start by placing the pattern notch on top of notch, and the edges should touch. So I'm going to move my pencil as if it were the needle on the sewing machine. So I'm just walking it along the pattern, and I'm shifting this. I'm shifting this so that the edges touch, and I'm moving my pencil along that stitch line. Again, I have notch on top of notch, and then I'm going to shift this as if the dart is closed. The reason why we're shifting this is if we were sewing these two seams together, the dart would be sewn first and then the side seams would be joined. So there's no way that this is going to walk end to end because of this dart. This dart has to be closed out. So again, we'll start at the top, notch on top of notch. I'm walking it. These two notches end up on top of each other. Then we're going to move the pattern so these two notches are on top of each other, and we're going to continue walking down. You'll notice that when we get down to the bottom or to the end of the pattern, these two seams don't match. That means that when the sewer is sewing this, she's going to end up with one side shorter than the other. This is what we call equalizing. We're going to have to make sure that both of these seams are exactly the same length. How do we equalize these seams? We are going to be taking the difference between the front and back. When you get into a situation like this, you're not always sure if the front is too short or if the back is too long. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the center, or first we're going to measure actually the distance between these two. So right here I have a clear ruler. My ruler is broken down into 1/8 inch increments. I'm going to be measuring the distance between the edge of this and the edge of this, and I get 3/8. Once I have the difference, I am going to divide that in half. Half of 3/8 is 3/16, and I'm going to mark it. So basically what's going to happen, I'm going to add length to my front, and I'm going to remove length from my back. Once you've indicated the difference between the two seams that don't match, you're going to find the center, and then we're going to add to one and remove from the other so that they become the same length. So I have this marked here. Okay, so let's start with the back. On the back of the pattern, I'm going to be trimming this excess off. This is where I measured because this is half of the difference between the front and back, and I'm going to blend back into my original pattern. A lot of times students are not sure where to blend, and it's kind of something that's hard to teach. As your eye develops, it'll get easier. As a rule of thumb, I kind of think of the center of my line. So I'm going to be removing this and blending it back in near this dart. So what I'm going to do is use my tools to blend a line. This is going to be removed, okay? I can't just put my tool here and blend the line to the center. I have to actually fold out the dart and then make a new blended line here so that I have a smooth shape. In order to fold out the dart, I'm going to do a couple of things. Just as review, we're going to find the center of the dart intake by measuring between the notches, and I'm going to make a line going through my punch hole. Next, after my punch hole, I am going to mark the dart in, which is 1/2 inch past the punch hole. That's where you would stop sewing. And then I'm going to draw in my new dart legs.